Hey everybody, Josh here with another market report from the Rage Real Estate team. We're going to continue talking about seasonality this time. We just did that in the last report. We said we had a hunch that what we were seeing is the beginning of a seasonal shift. And now that we're another month into this, we think it's interesting to see where the numbers are at. So just to refresh your memories on what we mean by market seasonality, what is a seasonal shift? It's a seasonal adjustment to the real estate market based on the relationship between supply and demand. That's a seasonal shift, just a simple adjustment. Denver has always been a very seasonally affected market. And so as we go into the fall, we typically see things slow down. And then as we come out of the new year and into the spring, we see things start to pick up again. That's normal. We didn't see it during COVID. During COVID, everything just kept climbing. And we knew that was not sustainable. And so we needed to return to seasonality, and it looks like we are. What are we looking for when we talk about a seasonal shift? We're looking for really four things: increased inventory, fewer buyers, less buyer activity, less aggressive bidding wars, and more price reductions. And if we're seeing those four things, it's a good indicator that we are entering a seasonal shift. So let's talk about an increase in our inventory. Did we see that? Actually, what we saw was more of a plateau. Still points to a potential shift. It still seems like if that was the only metric that we had to go on, we would say we might be, we might not be. But right now we're kind of plateauing compared to inventory a month ago. Same, that's detached single family. This is attached single family. Condos, the same thing, sort of even from where we were at a month ago. Next, fewer buyers. Are we seeing the number of showings decrease? Yes, we are. We went from 23 showings down to 13 showings per available home. So that's down. That's our second indicator. Less aggressive bidding wars. Are we seeing a decrease in that? Yes, we are. If you look back at just even in June, where we were at 106% over list price on average, now we're down to about 103% on average over list price, which is why you'll start to see some headlines that are talking about prices dropping. Prices are dropping, but it doesn't mean people are getting their homes for below the list price. If you drop from 106% above list to 103%, then you technically did see a price drop, but you're still not below list price. So don't get this bargain shopper mentality where, hey, now that we're entering the fall, we can go out and maybe offer $10,000 below list. We just had some clients of ours submit an offer on a property last weekend, and they were one of 15 offers. So yes, overall, there's less buyer activity. Yes, there are fewer showings. And yes, we're seeing prices come down, but they're still 3% over list on average. The third metric that we look for is an increase in price reductions. If we're heading into a shift, we should start to see more sellers out there starting to reduce their prices because they haven't sold, because of the reduction in buyer activity. And we are seeing that, in fact. We are seeing an increase in price reductions. We went up from July to August by about 4% in the number of homes that are reducing their list prices. That happens when a seller looks at the spring to price their home in the fall, which is a huge mistake. If you do that, you're going to sit for a while and you're going to need to reduce your price, sometimes more than if you had started out at a lower price to begin with. So that's a really important thing to consider as sellers. Home prices. Are home prices dipping at all? If we're headed into a seasonal shift, we should see home prices dip. And yes, they are. We're down about $50,000 in our detached single-family homes from where we were just a few months ago. We were up over $700,000. Now we're at around $682,000 as an average. Median is still about $100,000 below that mark, which is a more helpful figure probably. Median price right now for a detached single-family home is $580,000. That means 50% of home sales are happening below that number. Half the market is below $580, half the market is above $580. So, do we see signs of a seasonal shift? Like we predicted in the last video? Yes. Overall, we do. We see some tapering, some plateauing. We see some things slowing down and prices decreasing. All signs are pointing to a normal, healthy seasonal shift. We're still very undersupplied in our market. Inventory is still incredibly low, so we're still going to see multiple offers probably all the way through the end of the year. There's still far fewer homes than what our market demand can absorb. However, it's not as crazy out there right now as it was in the spring. And that's good news for buyers. So what should you do? If you're a buyer, you should consider jumping back in if you took a break over the summer because you were exhausted from getting beat out by multiple offers. You should consider jumping back in because you've got a better chance of getting your offer accepted when there are fewer buyers out there. Sellers, follow the future data. We talked about that in the last report. Let's look ahead to where we think the market's going to go and price accordingly, as opposed to pricing your home based on what was happening in the spring. That could be a significant mistake, and that's why we're seeing so many price reductions right now. Investors, inventory should be on the rise. We should start seeing inventory climb over the next few months. We do tend to see that. We expect to see that, which should increase your options in terms of picking up an investment property. So no matter where you're at in the real estate landscape, please feel free to reach out. We'll help you put a plan together and get engaged in this market. Thanks for watching.